The Treasure Seekers, Part 9 by Thea Stilton. Read aloud permission given by Scholastic. A new friend. The library was located in a big palace in the center of the city. There, the Thea sisters immediately got some books about geography and local traditions. Finding the right information regarding Aurora's riddle wasn't so easy, though. "Have you found anything?" Pam asked Colette, who was seated near her, behind a pile of enormous bound volumes. "Not yet," her friend replied. "I've read through volume after volume, but it seems like an impossible task." An elderly mouse wearing thick glasses cleared his throat loudly. She seemed annoyed by their chatter. "I don't know," Pam said. "I don't know where else to look." "If you want to try an encyclopedia, please help yourself," Colette proposed. "Shh!" The irritated mouse hissed loudly. "I'm sorry," Colette muttered. Then she turned toward her friend, lowering her voice. "The invisible place isn't mentioned anywhere. We don't know if it's a town or a place in the jungle." "Come on now!" the grumpy old mouse squeaked again. Colette's fur turned bright red, and she lowered her snout into the encyclopedia. She had just begun reading again when something landed on her desk next to her paw. Stunned, she picked up the object and realized it was a crumpled piece of paper. She smoothed out the paper and read the following: Exmoor. Colette looked around to see where the paper had come from, and noticed a young mouse with twinkling eyes and dark whiskers sitting at the desk next to her. "I think the invisible place is Exmoor," the mouse whispered to Colette. "The site was abandoned and covered in thick vegetation, making it practically invisible until the 19th century, when archaeologists brought it back to the light of day." The mouse in the glasses stood up dramatically and closed his books. "This is too much!" he huffed loudly. "I am going to complain to the director of the library." Colette was mortified, but she didn't think they'd been talking that loudly. "Why did you write me that message?" Colette whispered softly to the young mouse, so she wouldn't disturb anyone else. "Let's go outside," he replied. Colette signaled to Pam that she would be right back, and then she followed the mouse. "Hi, I'm Diego," the friendly mouse said, introducing himself. "I heard you squeaking with your friend before about an invisible place, and I thought it might be Exmoor." "I'm Colette," she replied. "That's an archaeological site in the Puck route, right?" "That's right," Diego replied, holding out his paw to her. Colette couldn't contain her excitement. She grabbed his paw happily. "That's fantastic," she squeaked. "You just helped me solve a big puzzle." "Great to meet you," Diego replied. "What's this puzzle about?" "Well, my friends and I are looking for someone," Colette explained. "I mean, something. An old journal, actually." "An Exmoor?" Diego asked, a perplexed look on his snout. Colette nodded. "My friends and I have to get there right away. Can you tell me where it is?" It's about 50 miles from here," Diego replied. "If you want, I can take you. I know the area very well. I'm studying to be a tour guide." "That sounds great," Colette replied. "But first, I'd better find my friends." "Do you mean these 4 mice?" Diego asked, pointing to Paulina, Pam, Violet, and Nikki as they approached. "We haven't found anything," Violet said with a sigh. "Did you, Coco?" "Actually, I think I figured out where we need to go, thanks to Diego," Colette explained, gesturing towards her new friend. "Nice to meet you all," he said. Diego was studying to be a tour guide, and he offered to take us to Exmall, the invisible city, Colette explained. The invisible city? Violet exclaimed excitedly. Of course! Do you have a car? Diego asked. He glanced at his watch. Because the last bus for Exmall left exactly 5 minutes ago. Oh no, Colette groaned. What bad luck. We don't have a car. I have an idea, Diego offered. Why don't you stay at my family's home tonight as my guests? First thing tomorrow morning, I will accompany you to Exmall. Really? Colette asked tentatively. But there are 5 of us. We don't want to interfere with your plans. It's no problem at all, Diego replied with a smile. I have no plans tomorrow, and I can practice being a tour guide. You'll just have to squeeze together a bit at my house. That's how the 5 friends met Diego's friendly parents, grandparents, and his little brothers. Then Diego insisted on showing them around Merida's main street, the Paso de Montejo. Tonight, there's a special music festival featuring traditional songs and dances, Diego explained as he guided the Thea sisters through the crowd. For a while, the Thea sisters were able to put aside thoughts of their investigation and relax and have fun. Only when it was finally time for bed a few hours later did Paulina think about their mission again. I really hope we find the journal, she whispered to Colette. I have a good feeling about Exmall, Colette said with a smile. Well then, good night, Paulina said with a yawn. We'd better get some rest. We have a big day ahead of us. It's from the music festival. Pyramids in the Jungle. The next morning, Colette felt something, or someone, sitting on top of her sleeping bag. When she opened her eyes, she was snout to snout with Gabriel, Diego's youngest brother. My brother says it's time for you to wake up, he squeaked. Who? What? Violet said groggily as she sat up and rubbed her eyes. It took her a moment to recall where she was and why. Pam jumped out of her sleeping bag. I smell the delicious scent of fried eggs. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm hungry. She headed straight to the kitchen, where the table was set with eggs, beans, tortillas, and salsa. Pam had been sitting there for a while when the other Thea sisters joined her and sat down to breakfast with Diego's family. Are you ready to go? Diego asked, appeared in the doorway. This bus is supposed to leave soon. We're ready, Colette squeaked. She and her friends thanked Diego's family for their hospitality and gave them a warm goodbye. Then they were off towards Exmall. Exmall is one of the most well-preserved archaeological sites in the Yucatan, Diego began explaining once they were on the bus. Its name means built 3 times in ancient Mayan because its tallest building, the Pyramid of the Magician, was built in various stages. Wow, you know a lot about this area, Nikki commented. You're a terrific guide. At your service, Diego responded with a wink. I love to show visitors the wonders of the Yucatan. Ask me anything you want. I have a question. When will we get there? Violet asked, her snout pale. The rough road was making her feel ill. Don't worry, we're nearly there, Diego reassured them. A few minutes later, the bus pulled up to the entrance to the site. But we're in the middle of the forest, Colette said in disbelief. That's right, Diego said. The buildings at Exmall are surrounded by jungle. Do you want to see them all, or are you just interested in one particular place? Colette quickly explained the riddle and the mention of the chattiest animal. Follow me, Diego said. leading them to the other end of the site. The Thea sisters couldn't help but admire the well-preserved stone ruins, which rose impossibly from the lush green forest that surrounded them. "What a marvelous place!" Violet whispered in awe, as Diego stopped at the foot of a tall stone pyramid with many stairs. "Yes, and luckily it doesn't seem like anyone is following us this time," Pam said with a sigh of relief, as she took in the groups of harmless-looking tourists around them. "Let's go up," Diego said, and he began to climb the steep steps at a brisk pace. The Thea sisters quickly followed him. Once they arrived at the top, they understood why Diego had taken them there. The top of the pyramid was adorned with carvings of macaws. "Of course," Violet said, "the chattiest of animals." "This is called the Temple of Macaws," Diego explained, gesturing to the structure at the top of the pyramid. Paulina peeked inside. "Maybe what we're looking for is in there," she said. Colette had told Diego about Aurora's journal, so he understood what she meant. "Wait," he said quickly. "Entering the temple is forbidden." "But Aurora's journal must be in there," Paulina exclaimed. "Thanks for the information," a tourist near them hissed suddenly. She had long blonde hair and was wearing a flowered shirt, but the Thea sisters recognized him as one of the two thugs who had followed them to the Isle de Seine. They were in disguise. His accomplice was wearing a pair of glasses and fake whiskers. He quickly slipped inside the temple and came out a short while later with a package in his paw. "They've got the journal!" Pam squeaked in dismay. "They're not going to get away this time," Nikki cried, and she quickly snatched the package from the mouse. "Run, Nikki, run!" Paulina yelled. Nikki sprinted down the stairs as quickly as she could, while her friends tried to stop the two thugs. The mouse in the flowered shirt began to run after Nikki. He had almost reached her when Diego suddenly jumped in front of him, blocking his path. The rat yelled to his accomplice, "Max, you get her!" But the rat in the glasses and fake whiskers remained frozen at the top of the pyramid. I can't go," he squeaked nervously. "I can't go down there. It's too high. I'm afraid of heights." "You're what?" the other rat yelled. But by then, Diego and the Thea sisters had already darted down the stairs behind Nikki. "Go!" Diego called. "I'll stay here and distract them. You get to the bus and get on it." "Thank you so much," Colette said. Soon the five mouselets emerged from the emerald green forest in an open clearing. There was a bus there that was about to leave for Capiche in the south. "Let's go!" Pam cried out. They boarded the bus quickly and sat down in the back, their hearts pounding. Nikki slowly took the diary out of the cloth it was wrapped in. They had done it. They had found Aurora's second journal.